Hello and welcome to the show. My name is David Carollo, the Executive Director at the World Apostolate of Fatima and the Blue Army Shrine. And we're entering a very special year. This is a jubilee, what do we call it? Extraordinary Marian Jubilee. This is an Extraordinary Marian Jubilee, and very important because it has to do with this great devotion of the first Saturdays, which of course we have promoted. We have the Great Promise Passport. We have so many things going. And here with me today is Father Luke Fletcher, the chaplain here at the Blue Army Shrine. He, together with Brother Pius, are the men who anchor the place every day. Thank you. And we're looking at this very special time because, again, the first Saturday's devotion, I've always said, is the unfulfilled part of the message of Fatima. And I truly believe that once that is fulfilled, we will see that triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So we're excited. And of course, we've been given a very special grace beyond that here at the Blue Army Shrine. So Father, again, welcome. And maybe a few words about the first Saturday devotion, about our programs, our Great Promise Passport and all of that. And then, of course, this extraordinary gift we were given here at the Shrine.
Boy, yeah, we have so many great topics to cover today.
We can be here 2 hours.
So we're, just to share with our viewers just how much joy and excitement we're experiencing here. A number of things are kind of coming together. Yes. So we have December 10th, which is the 100th anniversary of what I call the special apparition where Mother Mary and the child Jesus appear to Sister Lucia. So this is little Sister Lucia from Fatima, who's now a novice in the Dorothean Sisters. She's in the convent there in Pontevedra, Spain. And in that chapel, we have the apparition wherein what's now known as the Fatima 5 First Saturday devotion is formally requested. And we're hitting the 100th anniversary of that apparition. And so it's a new push for that part of the Fatima spirituality, the first Saturday devotion, which we are under the conviction that this is a major part of the Fatima message that's still waiting to be kind of embraced and fulfilled, and those graces flowing from that, confirmed recently by St. Carlo Acutis.
Yes, that was very interesting.
Who, shortly after Sister Lucia passed away in 2005, the 3 shepherd children appeared to him in a dream. And according to his mother and a few sources, including her book, Sister Lucia says to little Carlo that the destiny of the world can be changed by the first Saturday devotion. And when we finally heard about that, we just felt such a confirmation of what we're doing here, especially at the Shrine, the Apostolate. And then we get word that the Vatican has offered an extraordinary Marian Jubilee to the Shrine in Pontevedra in honor of this 100th anniversary. So as the normal Jubilee of Hope for the whole church is like winding down, there's this new, so you imagine everyone trying to get over there to Spain. And as if all of that wasn't wonderful enough, we get news here. So go ahead.
That we get that extended, that same indulgence, that same blessing here at the Blue Army Shrine here in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. We did, and we have to thank our former Archbishop now, James Cecchio. Of course, he's gone on to New Orleans, but it was, we spoke about it, and he knew of our history with that shrine.
Right.
Okay, and maybe I can get a little bit on that because it was in 1972 when John Hafford, our founder, went there. Maybe that wasn't the first time. I think it was, though. And he found it in a real state of disrepair.
Right.
The Dorothean sisters, they were diminishing, maybe didn't have the vocations. I don't know what the situation was, but that chapel was really the convent was in really bad shape. Mm-hmm. And the chapel was nothing more than what was Sister Lucia's room. It was where the apparitions occurred. Of course, now it's a sanctuary of the shrine. And he purchased it. He was able to purchase it. And because, again, he wanted to save the shrine. Right?
So just to clarify, so the Blue Army, the World Apostolate of Fatima USA, had purchased and owned that convent.
And we owned it from 1972 until the late 90s.
Okay.
Now, what happened was we put some effort in and did somewhat remodel it. Okay, made the chapel more of a chapel and all that, opened some walls and such. But it was still a difficult building, let's be realistic. In the late 90s, we, the World Apostolate of Fatima, the Blue Army USA, deeded it off to the World Apostolate of Fatima, Spain. Mm-hmm. We felt it was appropriate. They were our apostolate there, our sister apostolate, and so they took possession of it. But there was wisdom in Mr. Hafford. Now, he had already retired. This was maybe in the late 90s. He had retired at the end, in maybe, I believe, 1987, 88. But he was still involved. And he went to the trustees. He said, before you do this, he said, please put a covenant in the transfer that property has to remain a shrine, right, honoring what occurred there, because you never know if it ever fell into secular hands. Okay. So, and they said, sure, that's a good idea. And they put that in the deeds. Well, move ahead to 2018. At that point, I'm the executive director here now, and we get word, but our international people had informed me that the apostolate in Spain was in a bankruptcy.
Okay.
And so the property was in jeopardy.
Right.
And somebody wanted to buy it and make that garden a cafe. Okay. And of course, their statement was, well, it'll be a stop on the way to Santiago, to the people doing the Camino de Santiago de Compostela.
Yeah. And how far is this from that shrine?
Oh, it's maybe by car, it's 30, 40 minutes.
Okay. I know it's that property of Pontevedra is within the Archdiocese of Compostela.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And thank God, because it was the Archbishop of Santiago who took our side when we went there. So anyway, I traveled there a number of times in 2018 with our attorneys to Madrid to meet with the Conference of Bishops and to meet with the Archbishop Barrio, who was the Archbishop, he's since retired, in Santiago de Compostela. And he said, absolutely, this has to remain a shrine. But there were some who just wanted to see it taken care of in a different way.
Sure.
Finally, it turned out well. The bankruptcy court got involved, and now it's in the possession of the diocese or the bishops' conference. I'm not sure, with the understanding it remains a shrine.
Right.
So mission accomplished. And that's why I thank Bishop Cecchio, our former bishop, because as our ordinary here, and of course we're domiciled here in the Metuchen diocese, he was very helpful to me on this. Always there, And so when this came up, and I contacted him about the. And my wife said, "You better get a hold of Bishop Cecchio about this special indulgence that we could receive here."
Right.
And he said, "Sure, why not?" And he sent a beautiful letter off to the penitentiary, and they responded positively that we have this beautiful blessing. So we want to thank the bishop for his work with us. Wow. But again, he understood. But going ahead, we were able to save the property, or actually, Our Lady saved the property. She didn't want it to go into other hands. And since then, now there's some good fundraising, and they've remodeled it pretty well. So I will be there on December 10th, as will my wife, as will our pilgrimage of 40 people, plus another 100 or so people from worldwide. We have a conference in Fatima, and we will be there on December 10th. And so it's very special to be there to celebrate this anniversary. I'm very excited about it, because I truly believe that this is the unfulfilled part of the Fatima message, That's what Our Lady wants. Get into her heart. Okay, this is the heart of Mary. That's what the first Saturday's devotion is all about. So I don't know. I'm very excited about it. I think I see good things down the pike.
I have a little touch of holy jealousy. I'm so happy you all will be there. We'll be here in New Jersey, vicariously living through your pilgrimage. But it just is amazing to me. Obviously, it's wonderful. You've been involved for a long time. It's just wonderful having you here. I'm a bit of a historian and researcher, and I love the origins of the apostolate, the Blue Army, John Hafford, Monsignor Colgan, who are both buried in our little cemetery here. And the old copies of Soul magazine that kind of chronicle the story of the shrine. But then yourself as well, having been, some of these deeds, I'm so glad.
I'm an archive.
A living archive. But it's so good, everyone, that we're getting these details out now to the public to hear this backstory.
Yeah.
We have the shrine in Fatima itself, which is where Mary appeared to the children in 1917, 6 times. But then a little more of the story later on in Sister Lucia's life as a sister, and including Pontevedra in 1925. And thank God, through God's providence, it is still a shrine. And they've just been granted this Extraordinary Marian Jubilee. So this is December 10th, 2025, all the way to December 10th, 2026. And then through God's mysterious providence, we at Our Lady Shrine here in New Jersey have been granted the same Extraordinary Marian Jubilee. So as far as I understand, there are only 2 places in the whole world
That's it.
you can come to visit if you want to get over to Spain, or just come here to New Jersey. It's like a little piece of Portugal in the hallowed hills of Warren County, New Jersey, this little Fatima in America. And so the Indulgences, obviously the Plenary Indulgences, Jubilee Indulgences are just so profound and beautiful. Brother Pius and I are starting to call this Jubilee 2.0. We have all these posters up announcing the Jubilee because we were a Jubilee spot for the last year. And I said, keep those posters up.
And again, we thank Bishop Cecchio for designating us this past year too. And this entire year, I've been trying to do the prayers of indulgence every day and thinking of people that have died that we know, and then every once in a while, it's like, and this is not coincidence. Somebody will pop in my head. Oh my God, I remember that person from there. It's them knocking on the door. Okay, my turn. Please say the prayers for me today. The plenary indulgence. That is special. And I obviously, if you believe, okay, we can't. When you say that someone's released from purgatory, well, we have a pretty good belief. That's it starts with belief, right? It does. And I think it's been great, and another year of that. But it's just special because we're so tied into it. And I just believe that this is so important,
right?
And of course you've been very much involved in the promoting of of the Great Promise Passport, what we're doing. Of course, we filmed everything in March when we were there, and now our video. Maybe talk a little bit about those. What's going on? You're the narrator.
As if there's more, and yet there's more.
Like an infomercial.
Yeah, it feels like that around here sometimes. So what is beautiful is obviously the spirituality of each shrine. In this shrine, it's Fatima. It's the World Apostolate of Fatima, Our Lady's Blue Army. So we're kind of just exploring. We've been entrusted really by the church to be the official voice promoting that devotion and that message. And so we've always really held the first Saturdays very special here, the conditions that were requested, and of course reparation for offenses against the Immaculate Heart, and confession and Mass and Holy Communion, 5 decades of the Rosary, plus 15 minutes of meditation on the other mysteries of the Rosary, and the words of Mary in that apparition, keeping me company. She's her promise to be with us.
Which is really beautiful, keeping her company. I love those words, because that really, that to me is more than just meditating.
Right.
Okay. We meditate all the time on different things, but keep her company. That's what she wants.
So out of that experience, there was a great discernment in the team. I think there was a number of us on the team, and we had the idea of what could we do for this 100th anniversary this year. At the moment, we didn't even know that we would also get the Jubilee. And so this beautiful idea came out of creating a virtual pilgrimage. So we love pilgrimages, and when you go, I always tell people there's a grace in this place, right? You remember what happened, and you kind of hear the story. So our team, you all went over to Portugal and Spain, and we created 12 videos filmed on location. So on the first Saturday of every month, starting in December, there'll be this virtual pilgrimage where the video will come out, and you can purchase this passport that we created. This at shopfatima.com. You can get that over the internet or the gift shop if you're here. And then there'll be this kind of journey for the whole year. And we know that the fulfillment of the devotion of the first Saturday, and then this will be complementary to that. Yeah. For, if you can't get over to Spain, you can virtually go on this pilgrimage and kind of go a little deeper.
Yeah, and it's really it's so important. Because I actually first visited that site in 1982. So it was 10 years after they bought it. And it was remodeled to the point where there were some masses and that, but it was never really, it was salvaged is what I always wanted to say. Okay, and of course the garden and all that. And actually, the garden was actually where the dumpsters were. Wasn't she throwing out the garbage?
She was. Yeah.
What a lady in our Lord appeared to her, And so I think it's kind of, but it shows the simplicity of the individual and the convent and everything there. But yeah, this is so beautiful. Of course, I was with John Paul and with Matthew, our two guys. We spent one full day driving. I did all the driving. I'd say we left Fatima at 5 o'clock in the morning. We drove up to Tui, where we did the first film. We came back to Porto, back into Portugal, and then back up to Pontevedra, and back. Did it all in one day because it had to be done. And it was a great day. We got all it done. And I look at these videos, and I'm impressed. I feel that, of course, your narration and everything that was done, because I think it captures the essence of what this is all about. And that's what matters.
Yeah.
We want in people's hearts to ignite something so they really, and I really recommend that you see these videos and watch it and follow this and then really become devoted to the first Saturdays, doing the first Saturdays. Don't do 5, well, do 5.
Yeah.
Then do 5 more, and then do 5 more. Okay.
Right.
Because this is what it's all about. It's a way. It's like the Fatima message is a prescription for life,
right.
And this is a continuation of that. And this is part of the prescription.
Wow, my mind is going in so many directions. You think of the late Father Andrew Apostoli, that book Fatima for Today, and in his conviction as well. That the message coming from Fatima is the Catholic faith, it is the gospel, and it's the school of Mary, where Mother Mary as our spiritual mother is forming us and helping us to go deeper with the Lord. Something came to mind. So you talked about being over there in 1982,
First time,
and of course, 1982 is a big year for the Fatima story. Because on May 13th, 1981, there's the attempted assassination on Pope John Paul II in St. Peter's Square. He miraculously recovers. As he's recovering, he says, "Bring me the files on Fatima." Right. And then he is in Fatima on May 13th, 1982. And I found his homily there, and I have just a beautiful little quote in his homily that day. He talked about Fatima. He talked about the moment that John, at the foot of the cross, welcomed Mary into his home. When our Lord, as he's dying, says, "Behold your mother, behold your son." And then it kind of saying, well, Fatima is like the continuation of that we welcome Mary into our home, and that shrines in particular are like Mary's home, where we can experience her presence in an extraordinary way, like the spirituality of a shrine. And then, of course, the placing of the bullet into the crown. So there's this beautiful crown on the Fatima statue, and in the way it was constructed, there was a little bit of a hole that held the whole crown together, and this bullet that was saved after, is put in there. It's still there to this day. Right. One of the most powerful things you can see when you're on pilgrimage to Fatima. And then, of course, you often quote the Pope talking about, that what happened at Fatima wasn't just for 1917.
More relevant today than it was in 1917, he
right.
said, And today I say even more relevant.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is the apparition. This isn't discounting any other apparitions or anything else.
Right.
But Fatima is very foundational because it's extremely simple.
Right.
Live according to the Gospels. Okay. We're in the midst of a terrible war, World War I. War is a punishment for sin. Yeah. Okay. Now, isn't that just basic Christian belief?
It is.
There's love and hate in the world. The more close you are to God, there's love and serenity. The farther away, there's hatred and chaos. Well, where are we today? And I think that is really the essence of Fatima. Just we're not perfect, okay?
Right.
But let's strive for perfection. Yeah.
Beautiful. Even recently, the new Pope Leo had the statue brought from Fatima to St. Peter's Square, and then he said a special prayer entrusting the world.
Yes, he did. He entrusted the world. So, we've seen it. How many popes have done this? It's obviously, Pope John Paul, we got Pope Benedict, Pope Francis, they all understand that she's the one. And where did Pope Francis choose to be buried? St. Mary Major.
Right.
That's a statement too, in a way.
It is. Even was it Pope Pius XII had a huge devotion to Fatima, was consecrated to as a bishop May 13th, 1917 on the first, and it's all these beautiful connections we just love to explore,
But again, no coincidence.
Right.
It's all these God incidences that put everything together. And I think that hopefully we'll maybe get a papal proclamation about the first Saturday's devotion. Maybe write another letter. Dear Holy Father. But I think it is important. Obviously, something like that would really ignite it worldwide. But I do think that we still have to just keep promoting this message.
Right.
Okay. And this is the part of the message. This is the fulfillment of it. I think it's a fulfillment.
And that's exactly what I believe too. I think, you and Father Andrew kind of taught me that. But, Dave, I was thinking even that the Vatican is granting this extraordinary Marian Jubilee for Pontevedra and us. It's almost like the Church's way of saying, yes, this is good. Yes, like the Jubilees, the Indulgences are the Church's, Mother Church is saying this is good for you. It's a stamp of approval.
Right.
So we're really grateful for that. And who knows the graces that will be released from this new impetus to embrace this devotion.
And we need to be a big part of it as an apostolate. We really, really need to focus on this so strongly in this year. I really believe that. I mean, because, the world is on a precipice. It's always been that way. Okay, I mean, it's a fact. The world has been an evil place for many years. Okay, I saw a little thing popped up on my phone. It was a comedian, and he was talking about. Somebody said, "Well, it's never been this bad." He goes, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Cain killed Abel." He goes, "At one time, 1/3 of the people on earth were murderers." He said, it was funny, but think about it. We've gone to evil too many times in history, and I think that's why, and obviously the why is sin, because our sinful minds cannot be peaceful, and it's sad. It's sad, but and we all, and look, we're all responsible because our individual sins add to that tapestry, but our individual good works,
absolutely,
make up for it. Where sin abounds, grace abounds more.
And any one of us might be aware of just how bad it is out there.
Yeah.
And you ask the question, well, what can I do?
Well, exactly.
And I think it's that metaphor of just the lighting of a single candle.
Yes.
Can really conquer the darkness of an entire room. And what if you just keep multiplying those little candles? That's exactly, seems to be Mother Mary's way, this appeal at Fatima for conversion and for prayer, this devotion. It's really bringing us back to the heart of our faith, right? Confession, Holy Mass, meditating on the life of our Lord with the Rosary. There it is.
Well, Fatima began with the Eucharist, the Angel of Peace, of course, the third apparition, and the Fatima, the message of Fatima is reparation and Eucharistic reparation. That's why here at the Blue Army Shrine, I'm so happy that we keep up. It'd be nice to see perpetual adoration, or maybe someday we will, but at least every day after Mass, and when we start with confessions and Rosary, we have the Holy Sacrifice, and then we have adoration till, say, 3:00 and the benediction and
Divine Mercy.
Divine Mercy, and it's very, very important. I think that's what keeps us balanced out here. I think.
It's one of the joys of serving here at Our Lady's Shrine. It's just that consistency, the good, solid, it's just beautiful.
Well, Father Andrew sent you here.
Yes, I believe that.
He was posthumously, but he sent you here.
Yes, we believe that fully. We believe that. So,
he became such a good friend, and I miss him terribly. But, it's like, it's better to have an advocate in heaven, I think. Than,
without a doubt.
But it is really important, I think. And of course, the charism, of your order. I mean, you were always here.
Yeah.
As postulants, as novices, as friars, and even to this day, there's always, some gray habit here, giving a retreat or a hermitage, and it's proper. Because it fits your spirituality.
We're grateful.
Oh well, we're grateful to have you. So it works out. But I'm happy to. Father, what are your overall thoughts, and then where this goes? I mean, what we do then once we hit the next, okay, we get through a year. Okay, a year from now, what are we going to say? What are we going to do?
Well, my hope and my prayer would be that the experience of the graces of this coming year, the first Saturday devotion, the Extraordinary Marian Jubilee, will have an effect that going forward we'll be so enamored with the graces and the devotions that it will continue. Sure. Certainly the original request from Mother Mary and the Child Jesus was the five first Saturday for 5 months in a row. But so many of us, after doing that, there's so many motives for keep doing it, and it becomes a formation. It gives people an opportunity. So, okay, once a month I'm getting to confession. I'm, praying intentionally, and it kind of has this like acquiring of any virtuous habit. That repetition just kind of gives you a trajectory. So we're hoping for the graces don't just end after this coming year.
But I think that speaks to the whole thing about any devotion that has promises attached to it. Okay?
Right.
So if you fulfill the 5 first Saturdays, okay, well, I'll have the grace of final perseverance, which is important. Let's be realistic, but it's not guaranteed. The grace will be there.
Yeah.
But we have to accept it still. See?
Right.
And that's why I think people. It's not just checking the boxes.
Right.
Okay. I did that prayer. I said, if you say them for 1 year, you're going to go to heaven. Well, God will give you the extraordinary grace you need, hopefully. But if you go back to a sinful life afterwards, I don't think that's the case.
Exactly.
So
and there's those mysterious words of Sister Lucia in the dream to St. Carlo Acutis, just 2005, confirming once again that somehow the graces of God connected to this first Saturday devotion can change the destiny of the world. Like that's in the literal Italian edition of the book, you know?
Yeah.
And so there's something kind of bigger and broader than I think first meets the eye.
And I also believe she said in 1925 that if the church had embraced this, then World War II would have been avoided.
Right.
Think of the carnage of World War II. And then think of all the wars afterwards, okay?
Right.
Because World War II may have ended, okay?
Right.
But when you think about it, I love this term, during the Cold War. There was never a Cold War. What about the 58,000 people who died in Vietnam? How many died in Korea? How many died in the Gulf? No, I'm sorry. It wasn't that cold.
Oh, great point. In the last 100 years, world history has confirmed every word that Mary said at Fatima. And even in the writings of Sister Lucia, she says that so many other terrible things could have happened, like a nuclear war in the 1980s, but because people responded, people prayed, the Pope did the consecration of Russia in 1984, the grace to avoid that was given us. Yeah. So probably only in heaven will we realize just how important our prayers are.
Well, and her intercessory power, because in that last vision at Fatima, as part of the secret of Fatima, where the angel was bringing down that flaming sword, the conflagration upon the earth, and then, of course, her hand keeps him back. Okay, well, that's her power is amazing.
Yeah.
That's why I don't want people ever to diminish it. That's probably the biggest issue that non-Catholics have is our devotion to Mary.
Right.
So it's the biggest stumbling block for many. Right. But they don't understand that we're not adoring Mary. We're looking at her tremendous intercessory power. Okay,
right. Yeah.
I mean I've never found that to be a problem.
Exactly.
Never had an issue, but I was raised Catholic.
Right.
Okay. Maybe you found, because you were more of a revert, weren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe, I don't know. A lot of people said that was the one stumbling block for them.
So true, and it doesn't need to be.
It doesn't.
Right? You think of the line in the letter of James in the New Testament that the prayers of a holy person are very powerful.
Yeah.
And so certainly it's been clarified again recently. She is not God. We do not worship her. She is not the Savior. Jesus alone. But amongst the intercession of the saints, her prayers are so powerful because of how much she loved God.
Yeah.
And
think how much you love your mother.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think about it. Okay. I think it's same for him. Okay. Because he's human as well as divine.
Yeah.
And I think that really does mean a lot. But yeah, we always need to look at that, because we get that heart of Mary. Then I think of course the heart of Jesus is well, it's the same biology, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think we really have to always keep that in mind. That's what our apostolate's all about. There's nothing in Marian devotion that isn't solidly Christian and Catholic.
Amen.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to exploring all this in the coming years.
So
stay
I'm
tuned.
very excited.
Stay tuned.
And one thing too, on December 10th at 3:30 Central, so 4:30 Eastern time, Barbara and our national coordinator will be with me in Pontevedra with our group. My wife, though, 40 people that are coming with us for the pilgrimage. We're going to be on the Drew Mariani show at 4:30.
And that's Relevant Radio?
On Relevant Radio,
okay.
On the Drew Mariani show at 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central Time. And he wants to talk to us about the events of that day.
Right.
Of course, it'll be several hours later in Spain, 10:30 at night, which is dinner time for them. No, I'm just kidding.
Sure. Well, we'll be tuning in for sure.
No, certainly. We'll be on there, because I think it's really important to get the essence of what that day really was about. And all it is inaugural. It's the beginning, okay? It's the beginning of something now, the second centenary of this beautiful devotion. And I'm excited. Yeah.
Me too.
All right. Well, Father,
you couldn't tell. All right.
I can't tell, but I don't know any other thoughts you have, but
I think we covered it all.
Okay.
We have a whole year. We'll be exploring these themes, the spirituality.
This more, and of course, Brother Pius,
yeah.
what you're doing, and John Paul and others. I want to really keep this out there. I think we have to have that theme, because that's what it's all about. So anyway, thank you for watching this podcast, being with us today, and please embrace the First Saturday's devotion. Come to bluearmy.com, shopfatima.com, get your passport, and begin it and make a commitment to be part of the First Saturday's devotion. Continuing, not just for 5 months. Continue it on, and please subscribe to this podcast. Thank you.